Welcome back. Alright, so today I want to share an experience with you. When I was 18, I moved out of home. I was very young at the time, very naive, very timid, very. But you know, it was a very difficult time in my life at that period because I was definitely going through a phase where I was trying to discover who I was as a person. I was kind of like trying to stretch my wings. Back then, it wasn't like a cool thing to do, and I definitely didn't do it under like blessed circumstances, like, oh my child, go for it, you can do this, brilliant. It definitely was not like that. I'm the kind of person where I'm very much an introvert and I need space. And so when I don't get that space, I feel like everything around me is crumbling. It just feels it's too overwhelming for me. I'm not the kind of person that's necessarily always on the go. And moving out at such a young age taught me so many valuable lessons that even apply to just today. And it's definitely made me the person that I am. But before I go into what I've learned from moving in at 18, I just want to tell you a little bit about my story and how it all worked itself out and how it all happened. Okay, so there were a few things that happened when I moved out. So one day I just decided that, look, it was very difficult. I mean, the relationship that I had at home was not necessarily the best. It was okay, but it was the best. But I think mainly because of the kind of person that I am, like I said, I need to stretch my wings and I need privacy and I need certain things in order to function well. And I was kind of struggling with that. And so I felt the best thing for me to do would be to move out so I could have my own space. And so back then, there's this thing in the UK where you can go and stay in a hostel for a period of time, and then after that, you'd be given a flat. So definitely at the time, this was not an easy option at all. I mean, I'm about to share with you some stuff which was quite a lot for me at the time, being young, and as I said, very much an introvert, quite timid. Yes, but I just thought it may be helpful to some of you out there. Maybe some of you have even been through a similar experience, I don't know. But anyway, so basically I moved out of home and I went into a hostel. It was something that happened very quickly, so it was literally like within a day I had moved to a hostel. I had some friends help me move out, and I had to do this for me. So it was something that I was doing more for me than anything else. So I moved into this hostel, and I remember it's like a massive building with loads of people, and everybody had a room. I remember there being like this sickly smell within the whole building because it kind of reminded me a bit like hospital. So basically, you have a room, and then you have a small kitchen within your room, but there's also like a communal area as well. And I remember the first night that I had to stay in this hostel, I felt a whole ton of emotions, honestly, I really did. I was like, I felt way out of my depth, but I needed to do it. And it was a very overwhelming experience. So I was in that kind of big, massive hostel. I was in there for a couple of months, and then I got moved to another housing establishment, and this one had it had an upstairs and a downstairs, so there was 2 apartments in it. And so the downstairs, so I stayed in the downstairs apartment. I shared with another girl that I didn't know, and so we had like our own bedrooms, but then there was the kitchen area was a communal area, and that's basically all you had. There was no like living room space or anything like that. Your bedroom was basically your living room space. And yeah, we got on for a little bit of time. Like I said, I'm very shy, so I didn't talk a lot. We got on for a bit of time, and then after that, we didn't get on anymore. I'm not really sure why, but definitely, anyway, like whenever I'd buy groceries and put in the cupboard, she would always steal my stuff, always steal my shopping. And it was so hard because I didn't really have the confidence to approach her and say, look, you're taking my stuff. But I could tell that it blatantly, my stuff was going missing. And so we got to a point where we weren't really talking, and then one day, she just attacked me out of nowhere. I mean, I'm sharing stuff now. Gosh, it's bringing some emotions up in me. Wait. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, there is a point as to the reason why I'm sharing this story. So basically, anyway, I went through that. Eventually, after about a year and a half, I was given a flat. This was a 1-bedroom flat that I was given, and it was in a brilliant area. It was, if you guys know the UK at all, I was given a 1-bedroom flat in Surrey Quays. Now that is a prime area. I mean, I wouldn't like to necessarily live there now, but it was like, kind of like the hot cake, you know, like how Brixton is. Brixton at one point, nobody wanted to say they lived in necessarily Brixton, but now Brixton has become so urbanized that it's cool to live there. So it was very much like that. So when I got to live in Surrey Quays, it was the strangest feeling ever to finally be by myself after having waited almost probably a total of coming up to 2 years for this flat. I was finally awarded a flat. Now, let me just say, before they give you any type of housing in the UK, you're allowed 3 chances. So you're on a waiting list and you have to wait for your turn. So depending on your circumstances, you move up the list, or you can even move down the list, or whatever. You know, there are many things that can affect your situation. But back then, like I say, not a lot of people were moving out of home, so it was quite easy to do. But as long as you could withstand going through the kind of like the whole hostel area. And honestly, when I got my flat, I saw the first flat and I was like, I'm taking it. It was on the 4th floor in like a block, a council block. But you know what? It was what I needed. It was kind of grubby in there, so I had to do lots of decoration and cleaning up and all of that. It needed to be done. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. It grew me to who I am today. One of the things that living on my own taught me was resilience, because I had to become stronger. I had to be able to voice my opinions in certain things. I just had to be a stronger person. I just had to be a stronger person throughout for myself. It also taught me how to budget. Oh my gosh, guys, I tell you. My rent at the time was like £60. Oh, it was £60 a week or something like that. I had a job, but I was working part-time and I was also going to university at the time. And so I was like struggling to make ends meet, and I knew nothing about money. Let me just say, I was a complete novice when it comes to money. Like, I knew how to save little bits, but we're talking about like when you get the odd £10 pocket money here and there. Like, I could save that. That was not a problem for me. But having to now deal with larger sums of money and use the money for not just what you want, but for actually paying your rent, paying your electricity, those kind of things, that was a whole new experience for me. Trust me, a whole new experience. So, like, yeah, trying to budget that money. I didn't have a lot of money. I remember when I went to university, they used to give you like a loan. I don't know if they still do that actually, but they used to give you a loan if you fell into a certain category where you basically didn't have any other financial assistance. So I was eligible for that loan, and when I got the loan, instead of using it for wise things, I went and bought a car. Yeah, I remember that. My first car was a red Polo. No, it wasn't a red Polo. It was like a bluish purple Renault Clio. That's what I had. I upgraded later to the red Polo. But yeah, I had this car and I was like, oh yeah. I think I paid like £2,000 for it. I was like, oh yeah, I got a car. I was so irresponsible with money. Honestly, I didn't know that when you put on the hot water in the house, that you must turn it off after you finish bathing and not let the thing run. So I used to just press the button on, let the hot water run, and just, you know, let the hot water be continuously hot basically. And I'd leave it on all day, and then one day I got bailiffs to come to my house and were like, you have not been paying your electricity bill. I'm like, I didn't even know. Like, there was so much that I didn't know, so many life skills that I just didn't know. I was completely out of my depth. Like, I think at the time I was working and I was earning probably about £800 or maybe £1,000 a month. That's when I did some overtime. So I wasn't earning a ton of money, and when I moved out, trust me, I had no money. My bank account was like zero. Like, I remember even having to ask my mum for my savings book, because I used to save like £25 every week. No, every month I used to save 20 for my mum. Well, yeah, I used to save 20. I used to work, and so 25. My mum made me set up this savings book, so I used to save £25 every month into that thing. And then there came to a point where I was so desperate for money, I had to get that book, and I had to use that money to pay off some of my debts and blah blah blah. But when the bailiff came to my house, he was really nice, more or less. I didn't know that you didn't have to let a bailiff into your house, but I let him into the house anyway. But he was really nice. He was kind of understanding about my situation. Obviously, I was way out of my depth. But you know what, that taught me a very valuable lesson. It taught me to budget. yeah, budgeting was a big one for me. I didn't know how these things work. And then you'd have to pay like council tax as well. Actually, no, I didn't have to pay council tax. I had to make sure that I was going through a system where I was continuously exempt from paying council tax. And council tax basically, in the UK, it's where you pay for like your bins to be taken out. Services that the council provides basically. You have to pay that every month. Every household has to pay it. And depending on where you live, would constitute the amount that you have to pay. So I'd have to pay for all these things that were like completely foreign to me. I didn't even know. So I think at one point I didn't update the fact that I was still a student, and so then they were saying that I was liable for it, and then I'd have to be on the phone for hours trying to get through to the right person. I'd have to write letters, and like this was like way over my head. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I was so naive, guys, honestly. I was so naive. I did not know anything that I was doing. But you know what? Like I said at the beginning, it taught me serious resilience in my life, okay? It really did. It made me toughen up to get a thick skin. And like I said, now I would say that money is definitely something where I take risks with money. Don't get me wrong, I definitely do take risks with money, but I also do have that thing in me where I will also hold back. And so for me, I'm constantly trying to get a balance between, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? Okay, let me wait, let me try and save, let me do this. But I think at the moment, that's kind of like thrown up in the air because we're in the process of building a house in Ghana right now. And for me, that is like, it's so like, you know when you watch those programs where people are building a house, doing grand designs, and like, oh, we have to borrow 50,000 from the bank, we have to borrow this from a friend, and borrow that, and they have to wait until things pan out. We're very much in that situation at the moment where we're waiting for things to like pan out a bit, but it's something that we have to go through. And I just feel like everything that I've been through in the past has brought me to this point where, you know, it's like, this is who I am, and this is how I got there. Do you know, one thing I've realized is that everyone has a different upbringing, and sometimes your upbringing may feel rough to you, and sometimes you may have an upbringing where everything was laid out for you. You may have that, and it will shape you into the person you are today. But you know, it's very much about being able to identify the negative that happened and also the positive, and make your whole experience become the better version of you, if that makes sense. Because every experience that you have builds character, and I feel that that whole experience that I went through definitely built character in me. Because you know what, like I said, I'm very timid. Like, I'm doing this because I'm kind of like lost for words. Like I was a different person back then. Seriously, I was a different person. Like I had a lot of a lot of insecurities. So even though I went through this really tough experience of having to go through a hostel for 2 years, and then I finally got my first apartment, let me tell you something. Because when I got the apartment, it just gave me a springboard. Because there was this thing that Margaret Thatcher introduced, and it was called Right to Buy. And so basically, Right to Buy would give you the opportunity to buy your own house, but at a discounted rate after you've been in it for a certain number of years. So I was in that house for, I can't remember how many years now, I can't remember. I was in it for a few years, quite a few years. And then I got married and we decided to buy the house. So we bought the house at a discounted rate. And honestly, the amount of equity that was inside the house was, I mean, it was like, more money than I'd ever seen in my whole life. Like, I'll talk like numbers that I'd never seen, because obviously it wasn't something that was planned. But this is the reason why I'm saying that even though something difficult happens to you, you never know what's down the road, and so something good can always come out of it. So I got that flat and I had loads of equity in it, and that kind of springboarded us to be able to purchase other houses as well after that. I think at one time we owned like 4 houses, and then after those 4 houses, we kind of like started selling and stuff like that, because I didn't want to be a landlord, because we had then decided to move to Ghana years later, and I didn't really want to be a landlord and be trying to, you know, in the UK I feel like tenants are given too many rights. They don't pay rent and they're allowed to stay in your house. You can't do anything about it. You have to go through a process. By the time you've gone through that process, you're even more in debt. And so it's something that it didn't really sit with me, so we just kind of like sold up. And anyway, we also, because we wanted to build a house in Ghana, that pretty much meant that we needed money, basically. We needed equity. But the point of what I'm saying is that even though I went through this really tough experience, it helped us to get to where we are today, because now we are building our dream house right here in Ghana. And although we may not have all the money that we still need, it has given us a springboard that we perhaps wouldn't have had, and it would have been harder for us. We probably would have been a lot further back in the process. So what I really want you guys to learn is that although you may be going through something tough today, you don't know what is around the corner. You don't know the good things that are going to come out of that horrible thing that you had to experience. So just, you know, stay strong, stick with it, and eventually it will all make sense, because sometimes we don't know the reason why we're going through certain things, but you know what, one day it will all make sense. There's been a lot of growth that has had to happen in me, and it's not easy when you're going through a period of growth, but you know what, like I said, it's good for you, it's healthy. I think if you're giving everything on a plate, then you know, life becomes harder as you get older, because you can't, if it doesn't happen anymore, you wonder why it doesn't happen, you wonder why you don't have certain privileges and things like that. Whereas if you've had to struggle, you've had to graft for certain things, you know how to fight and you know how to come out of certain situations. So this video is just basically to say that, you know what, resilience. If you want to make it in life, you need to have some resilience about you. And I'm not saying that, oh, my life was the hardest out of everybody and blah, blah. I'm not saying that, because I know definitely there are people out there who've had it much worse than me. But just what I want to say is that experience is experience, and it teaches you something. And the one thing you should always do with experience, when you've come through certain things, is you should also always share your experience with others in order to help grow others. Because I think when I was 18, if I had watched a video like this, it may have encouraged me that little bit more. It may have given me that little extra vim to like think, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna ride this, because it will not be forever. Because you know what, joy always comes in the morning, things pass, and this too shall pass. So if you're going through something right now and you feel like you're in a difficult situation, just know that this too will pass, guys. It does. But anyway, I'm not going to talk too much longer. I hope this video is not too much off topic for you guys, because I know I don't normally talk about stuff like this, but I feel like every experience that you have is there to be shared in order for someone else to be edified by it. So yeah, hopefully you've had a bit of encouragement out of this. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Did you enjoy this video? Is it not really something that you're looking for? I'd love to hear it. But yeah, that's my experience. That's why I am the way that I am today. I'm very quirky. It took me a while to kind of realize that I'm very quirky, and I think moving to Ghana has definitely helped me to do that. It's helped me to kind of come out of my shell a lot more and just be comfortable with who I am, because this is who I am. You know, I'm not like, I don't take pictures and look all sexy. You know, I'm not that kind of. I'm just not that way. I'm more like clumsy. Well, I'm not clumsy. I'm more like a quirky. That's the only word that I could use to sum myself up. I'm more quirky, more kind of like that kind of way, but I'm also an introvert. It's all kind of like mashed into one type thing, you know. But anyway, I'm still talking, so I'm gonna leave the video right there. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button for me and hit the notification bell. Please do me a favor, and I would appreciate it so much if you'd hit that like button for me, because when you hit the like button, my video will go out to a much wider audience. Anyway guys, that is it. Until next time, I'm out. Nuti Fafa.